Hello, my name is Ian, and I am the release manager for Y Record Company. Today I'm going to be walking through my workflow using Trello for planning releases, general management of the label, and also in its traditional sense as a software development tool. So without further ado, let's jump into Trello. As you see, if you're familiar with software development, it looks very similar to a Kanban board, which means it kind of is. In fact, by default, you can set it up as a Kanban board and add your own lists. So let's say I had another list here called bugs. Any found bugs I discovered, I can then add a card. And let's say, for example, I noticed that on mobile, the sidebar is tiny, and this is actually a real bug that I have to fix. So I would move that either to the backlog or to the current sprint. I wouldn't add that to in progress because I can only pull items in progress from the current sprint, and I wouldn't add that really to anything else because I need to test things that I finished that were in progress and deploy things that were completed testing. So before I jump too far ahead, I'll talk a little bit about what a Kanban board is. It was developed a long time ago by Toyota in Japan for speeding up the manufacturing line process. So every different employee, they'd get a specific ticket or in Trello terms, a card assigned to them, which then it has in it perhaps a checklist of items or some sort of description. In this board we don't have descriptions, but here looks like these do. And so there's some information and also a checklist, which is useful. Anyway, you can expedite the process by knowing if something needs to be done. You drag it into your column for in progress. As you complete tasks and finish up the items on your card, you move it to testing. Then other people will test your product. In my case, for the website, is new features are completed by me. We send them out to the Discord to our members, and they can test it, find bugs, because everyone uses a different computer or mobile device. And then as soon as I go through and make sure it works, whatever feature that is, then it can be deployed onto our actual website. So a good example of some features that we've currently done, you see this sidebar. It used to be a nav bar at the top, and we ran out of space because all these icons and words, they take up a lot of space, so I had to turn that into a sidebar. So it's still in progress. What I'd like to do is make it shrink down, but that's a video for another day. Anyway, getting back to the topic of this video, how do I use it outside of its traditional sense for managing releases and a label? So first, we'll jump into this general to-do board here, and as you see, it looks very similar to the regular Kanban board, but I've added a couple things and removed some others. So first, you'll see I just have a backlog and in progress, similar, but I only have a done, so no testing and no deployment. As soon as something is finished in this board, I don't need to test it. For example, ordering t-shirts, I don't need to test if the t-shirts work or anything. I'm wearing a t-shirt right now. I know it works. By the way, you can get these t-shirts as well as stickers and any other merchandise on our website if you go to the store tab. So the done column is good. I also have a notes column because I'm frequently in this Trello board. It's helpful for me to find things easily, especially when I'm getting a new release ready for submission on a distributor. Perhaps I need to copy the C&P line. It makes it easy. I don't have to type it every time. Maybe if I'm sending data to one of our new artists or information to our Discord, I'll easily copy a link. Just some notes and assets. And here's another interesting thing. This is a card called Export PNG and JPEG, and it's just a checklist that I have not checked off. And the reason for that, as you can see, let's say I needed that checklist somewhere else. Well, a cool feature in Trello is I can actually copy items from one checklist to another. So I'll copy this from that card called Export PNG, and there we go. The checklist has been duplicated, and if I check a couple things off here, it actually does not affect the original one because it's just a copy, which is really good for me because I use these items a lot and it doesn't make sense for me to have to type them out every time. I can just copy a checklist and be done with it. Something else you see are these little stickers or labels. Right now they're set to small, but if you click on them, you'll see that you can see what label's on a card, or you can actually click on the label itself and they'll all pop up so you can see what exactly is going on. So these orange ones I've dedicated as merch. These are general Y Record Company to-do items, and I haven't really categorized this board that well, but I do use labels in terms of being able to quickly find merchandise items, so that's helpful. One more thing is, since Trello is a team-based project managing system, I can actually add people. So you see here I am on 2 different EPs that I'm finishing, and because I'm the release manager for the label, there's actually a lot of stuff in here that's not mine. For example, this is a release, remixes, and I'm a remixer on it, but it's not my album, so I didn't tag myself here. But here's another. This is a single from Ezra Parker, and that's not something that I'm affiliated with in any way. But since I have so many items on here, it's helpful for me to just add myself, and so then if I want to see a minimalized view, I can see, oh, these are just the 2 projects I'm working on right now. Really helpful. And that was using the Q shortcut. There's a lot of shortcuts in Trello. This is not a video that will cover those. Perhaps a second supplemental video I can do. If you're interested, leave a comment. Anyway, we'll get back to the release timeline in just a moment. Right now I want to continue looking at our general to-do. As you see, we have a bunch of different things in progress. So this is kind of a fuzzy one. Designs Bandcamp site to look good. What does that mean? So I'd probably go add a description, perhaps add background cover photo, maybe even make sure all releases are on the site uploaded with high quality art. Whatever that might be, I can just add a little description. Now it's becoming more detailed. I'm actually going to use this and flesh it out more later. One more column you'll see on the side is goals, and this is a column that I used to use a lot, this list here, but I switched over to Google Drive, so I'll be covering how I keep track of progress for the label in terms of goals later in another video. You'll see here though, I used to calculate Y Record Company releases, and there were some other items that we had in here, but they've all been moved to Google Drive, which we'll look at in the future. So I think Trello is really helpful. I use it at work. I've used it for many years actually, and it's good for me because I'm a very task-oriented person. I need to have my items listed out, and for me a traditional to-do list doesn't work because it's kind of linear. And so Trello is nice because you can actually just click and drag to move items as they're completed. So stickers isn't completed, but I do have one roll, and these stickers, it's just an example. I wanted to get some stickers to see how the quality was when they arrived. So I've ordered these, which are also available for purchase. But you can just drag cards around, and it's mobile friendly too. So when you want to add something or move something around, you can do it on your phone. You just tap and drag. It's very nice. So when you do complete a checklist, it shows up like that, very nice, and it'll be green when you click on it as well. If you didn't complete something, it'll go back to blue. You can also add a due date and a start date, which I find useful for releases. For example, here, let's see here, if I close this out, looks like by February 18th, I need the business techno artist to be done. So I could check this off if it's completed, but there's still a lot of things to do here. And if I modify the due date to perhaps have happened already, I'll save that. You'll see that it says it's overdue, and when I'm looking at this column, it'll actually be red. So that's a good way for me to keep track of things that I need to do as soon as possible. This is much more applicable for releases, which we'll look at after we're done on this column here. There's a bunch of reasons to use Trello. I think one of the best is time management. You can just throw a bunch of items in here and just by clicking enter. For example, if I want to add to the backlog a bunch of useless tasks, these aren't actual things. For example, do laundry, export 3 versions of my mixdown, go grocery shopping. Really good to just jot notes down, and then later you can come back and make updates to this, add a description, add more details, perhaps even copy another checklist from somewhere, or make a new checklist. For example, I can just say no copying items, and I'll say do laundry, make sure to separate whites from the rest because they will bleed. Right? Whatever that means. Anyway, the reason I started using Trello was for the releases. As you'll see, this Trello board is much wider, and we started using Trello back in 2018 before this just said released. Then we really amped it up in 2019, and as you can see, we were able to utilize Trello to get projects, releases, albums, whatever you name it, through the pipeline here. And we'll talk about the pipeline because this is a very different Trello board. It's not your typical Kanban setup. And in 2020, we were quite prolific, and we actually had, I think, over 24 releases, which is more than a little less than half of a release per year, which is, I thought, was really good. More than 2 a month, I think it was 25. Anyway, currently in 2021 we've had 4 releases so far, which is really good, and we've had some other similar releases. We've had a sample pack come out, we've had a couple other of these compilations come out, and as items are done, we move them over. So if we look at what this Trello board looks like here, we have the He Called Me Beautiful remixes in the needs, artwork, and content. As soon as this is done, I'll move it to schedule upload, because maybe I've recreated the artwork, or someone else has sent me the artwork and it's ready to be uploaded, but I haven't done it yet because it takes a while. I use Symphonic and a loaded. A loaded I really like. It's a bit more expensive, but it's a one-time fee as opposed to Symphonic, which for me I got in for free a long time ago, maybe 6 years ago. But now every release they charge you $10, $20, $50 depending on how many songs. So I've navigated away from Symphonic and start using a loaded. It's really helpful for us this year because we've had a lot of singles, and because it was a one-time fee, it's free basically. I mean, we paid once, but with every release we make, it costs us less eventually. Symphonic, it's better for longer albums. Really, I wouldn't use it for EPs or singles, just because they charge every time. But their metadata is, I'd say, a little better. You can pick and choose more items when you go to create a release. I'll talk about that again in another video. In fact, I'll have many videos coming soon. In fact, you see here, Loom video tutorials right now. We have Trello workflow. We got that one done. There's a lot more videos, and if you want to see any specific videos, let me know. I've done this managing stuff for a while. Didn't go to school for it or anything. I am software by passion and music by choice. But no, I really like making music. So getting back to this release timeline sort of pipeline here, you'll see as things get scheduled, technically the HCMB remixes are scheduled. They're in the promo column, and I like to schedule my releases 6 weeks in advance. That way then we can set up promo posts, we can make sure people are pre-saving, whatever that might be, and then as things get released, I put them right at the top. That's just my preference, just so I can see from first release to most recent. Anyway, let's start at the front here. Let's go back. Here is the first column here, which is ideas, and so as you saw earlier, I was just typing some random stuff in this backlog. That's what I do when I'm going to work, when I'm in the bathroom, when I'm at a restaurant and I had an idea. I just write down an idea, boom, boom, and you'll see there's a ton of ideas in here. Anyway, these ideas aren't necessarily songs or EPs, they're anything. In fact, this is just song names, or maybe album names, or maybe it's lyrics names. I'm not sure. This is a more fleshed out concept. It's a playlist, but it's an album with all my different personas, which is pretty cool. Waiting to finish song arrangements. This is where things are actually, this is where the pipeline begins. And so this is either I'm waiting for someone else to finish their arrangements. For example, Riley, I'm waiting for him to complete an album, or maybe I'm waiting for me to finish some arrangements. And this is just, I have hundreds of projects that I'm working on at a time, tons of different project files, maybe sound snippets. And so the backlog ideas is a way for me to package different things and push them through. For example, Dream Journal, this is a 140 techno EP. It started off as an idea, and as you click on it here, you'll actually see it's quite detailed. I have artist, who's it by, track list, I've come up with a couple, and the 4 projects that comprise this EP. And so same thing with the revival, as you see, very similar. This is actually a template that you can use. So Butler, which is a feature in Trello, you can turn this card into a template. So whenever I make a new card, I can make an empty card, or I could make a template card, create from template. See that there? I'm not going to do that right now, but if you'd like to see that, leave a comment. So Tectonic Rumble is a great example. You'll see here, I made this card much longer before than I had the template. Anyway, I could then decide what project files I want to put into this package of Tectonic Rumble techno music. I'll drag it over. Now that I know what projects I'm working on, I'm going to finish those arrangements. Then it'll go through the pipeline and get mixed down. Then, depending on if it needs to be mastered, it'll jump into mastered. Maybe for some items I want remixes as well. So in this case though, Vacation Home Remixes, this is by Dill Pickle, and he is waiting on remixes. I'm just waiting on those remixes so I can go master them. And as they're mastered, or before, it doesn't really matter, they'll get artwork. They can't pass artwork or master to get into schedule until both are complete though. So that's kind of where the order comes from here. I have some other general note cards here, some rules to follow when I'm making the artwork so I don't forget. For example, for blue label, I have the hex code. That way I remember what the blue that I'm using for the blue label is, and so on and so forth. So I think Trello is really useful, and I'm a big fan of the workflow. Like I said, I come from a software background, so the Kanban board style really works for me. And with my ADHD, it's useful for me to just spread ideas out everywhere. I can't get one item done in a list at a time. It's not how my brain works. And so this really helps with being able to decide, is this for this project? Is this for this project? Does this need to wait to be gated until it gets to the next section? I've seen Trello boards that were completely different, where each card was its own song. And so, for example, if I have a single song here, let's see. Here's a good example. So Devotion was a song released under svnteen, and I had a checklist here that I was able to get done, one item at a time. Decide on release name, decide on track name. Well, this used to be called a different card name. It used to be called 17 Single 2 of 2020. Then it had a song name, so I went and updated the name, and etc. I kind of ran out of time to finish this because we released this song and I just dragged it across. But if you're consistent and you're methodic, then you should be able to follow this approach and actually complete a lot of stuff. That's what you see here. We started using this process really in 2020, and we got so many projects complete. We were able to release so much music, and it was really a good time for everyone with a very low stress, because we weren't worried about, I don't remember what's going on here or there. It's just all in one place and everyone can see it. And if I hit the little Q button, I can see what cards I'm working on for me, which I was a real big fan of. So if you have any more questions, be sure to post them in the comments. And if you want, feel free to join our Discord. It's a good thing to do on this snowy day today. If you have any more comments that videos you'd like to see in the future, I'll add them to my list of videos to make. Just let me know in the comment section. I would really enjoy it if you hit that like button, and it would mean a lot if you would subscribe. This is the first video out of many that we're going to be publishing on this channel, so I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.